Hey, what's
Hey,
going on? What's going on, everybody? Yeah, man. Super excited to be here. Want to welcome all of you guys to Independent Artists Animating Your Truth panel. I go by the name of Tony Drake. I'm an independent animation writer, director, DJ, and creator of the Indies and Animated Short. Um, yeah, and I just want to welcome you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Today we're going to be talking about independent artists, how to set up your own animation studio, different techniques, diversity, and we have like a really dope group of people here today that are going to share in that conversation. But before I let my friends introduce themselves, just want to say shout out to LeftField Online and Austin Con and Rose City Comic Con for putting this on and allowing us to have this conversation. So with that being said, gonna let my friends introduce themselves. If you guys just want to say your names, a little bit about yourselves, we'll go ahead and start in that upper left corner with Daniel.
Hey, I'm Daniel. I'm an independent animator. I also run two animation studios, one in Colombia, in South America, and one in Miami. And we basically focus in one of them, we focus more on content, educational content for children. The other is more of a commercial content for children. And as an independent animator, I'm mainly, my main focus is mostly in music videos and video clips.
Very nice, very nice. You want to go next, Social?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Sochi. I'm also an artist working in the animation industry. I don't do very much animation, but I do a lot of design work. So I'm actually working at Nickelodeon right now as a prop designer on the Casa Grandes, which is a great show. And I also do freelance on the side as well. So I do a little bit of character design freelance, color styling freelance. I did that for Tony's project, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, and my main focus is just kind of, telling stories visually, and I really love to include like my culture also as well in my artwork, and hopefully it like speaks to other people as well.
Nice, nice, very nice, very nice. Want to go next, Chaz?
yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Chaz Bottoms. I'm an animation director, writer, and also animator. I also have my own animation studio based in Glendale now. And yeah, basically my thing is I love telling stories with characters who kind of reflect the world around me and look like me and my family and friends. And so I always try to put, like Xochitl, my culture and my kind of own spin into my work.
Nice, nice, very nice. Well, yeah, like I said, I'm excited to have you guys here. For everybody that's watching live right now, if you have any questions for any of us, feel free to put them in the Facebook chat. And towards the end of it of this panel, we'll go through and we'll answer them. So I guess since you were the last one to go, Chaz, you being an independent artist, I was wondering if you can kind of share either why you enjoy it or if you dislike it. I don't think you will, but just how you feel about being an independent animator artist.
Yeah, it's a bit of a double-edged sword, but it's mostly sweet in that I think that with independent projects, there's a lot more room for innovation and creativity and being able to do things that might, take risk essentially. I think working kind of in mainstream animation, there's less room for that because typically show or movie has their kind of style and the rules of the show that they follow. But with freelancing and being an independent artist, most music videos or most projects that I work on typically are 5 to 6 weeks, and so you're turning over projects quicker. And so within that, you get creative, you get to kind of take risks and try new things. And it kind of just helps you get more reps in of just seeing what you can do and push yourself.
Very nice, very nice. Now, Xochitl, you're kind of in a really unique situation where you said that you work at a major studio, but then you also do freelance on the side. Can you kind of talk about your experience as an independent artist?
Sure. So like you said, I kind of work in a studio, but I also just lately have been working alone here at home. And on top of that, getting a lot of like freelance work from different places. I've been doing some stuff for like Lego and just like a lot of other like small independent projects and stuff. Both of them are really fun. I do love working with the studio as well because you work with a lot of people, you collaborate, you talk about like, stories that you guys can all relate to, and therefore like we can inject some of that into our own visual storytelling as well. And with the freelance, kind of like Chaz, you have a lot more like liberty and freedom to kind of just put in your own like 2 cents into the project that you're working on. I honestly really enjoy both. There's like this really, really cool, unique experience about working on freelance stuff because it is just more of like your voice and telling more of like the stories that you kind of want to tell. You can choose what you want to work on if there's enough clientele and all that. They have both been great experiences, and I think I've learned a lot from each of them. Working alone and with just like an art director versus working with like a whole team. They both are very like valuable to me. I feel like I've gained a lot from both of them.
Gotcha. And Daniel, I think like your situation is also really dope because not only do you have your own independent animation studio or two of them, but you're also working outside of the U.S. as well.
Yeah.
So can you kind of share your experience as an independent artist from that perspective?
Yeah, working from outside of the US has been quite interesting because since I'm not actually there, there are some cultural like differences that actually turn out to be quite interesting for most artists that want to see a different point of view on things. So I've worked as an independent animator for French products, for things here in South America. I've worked also in Japan.
Okay.
So it's been quite interesting to see how they want me to put some of what I do in my point of view of an outsider on their projects. So it's an interesting mix because they want something new and they want to adapt to what they already have.
Right. No, that is interesting. And I think that is a cool piece of kind of setting up like being independent, like having that freedom to bring in those like different ideas and different perspectives. And I think that's kind of something that seems as though everyone kind of touched on, like being able to have the freedom to look at those unique points of view. So one of the next things I want to talk about, because I feel as if though, I'm not sure if you guys get this question a lot, but there are people that want to get into animation or art, and they ask questions like how can I do it? So I want to talk about just kind of how you guys set up like the situation that you're in. Like for me personally, like I can't even draw stick figures. So I had to try to figure out how do I get my into animation. And for me, it started with like doing a lot of research. And for my day job, I'm an electrical engineer. And so I took a lot of concepts from engineering and try to apply that to animation, as well as going through and trying to get funding through Kickstarter in order to kind of build to build the project that I wanted to create, how I wanted to create it. So that was kind of my experience. But I guess social, like how did you get into to animating and I guess kind of create like that good environment for you to work?
I think my experience is pretty different from yours, Tony. Just because like I think growing up I was always like I feel like I was always kind of drawing. If I wasn't drawing, I was like writing something. I was just like kind of always creative, like and creatively thinking, like in my head, growing up and everything. So for me, getting into animation, I think it's really important what you said, like doing your research. Even for you, like who didn't come from that background, you did your research and now you're here. So I think that's very important. I had to do a lot of research as well. Specifically when I was like graduating high school, I had to find out like where I wanted to go study, whether or not I wanted to pay like a whole bunch of tuition, you know, or go to like the Cal State and have like a smaller tuition but still get it in some of that artistic experience. So I had to do some research, and then once I was done with my studies and university, I started just applying and just putting my name out there. And big thing also is like you said with the crowdfunding and the Kickstarter. I think the biggest part is like getting yourself out there. Like it's great if you have the skills, and obviously that is very important because they will hire you for that, and you will attract people if you have like if you're very talented and you have great skills. But I think what's like really important as well is like a social skill, and I think that's what some people don't necessarily understand, or like they don't know until they're done like with their studies and stuff. So for me, I had to just kind of go out to like events, start talking to people, really putting my name out there, like making a website as well as one big thing, and being like present on social media is like a huge thing right now if you want to get into like the animation industry, because Instagram has almost become like a portfolio now for like artists. So I think it's just that, and that was the biggest thing that I had to learn because I didn't know that getting out of school, and I feel like not enough people talk about that. So I'm just getting it out there. Like if you do want to get into this animation industry, you have to learn to like talk to people and like be friends with people, and that I feel like gets you a long way if you are trying to get into this industry. I'm sorry if that was like long or whatever, but yeah.
Nah, it was good. It was good stuff though. It was good stuff.
Yeah.
Chaz, like, do you want to kind of talk about how you've set up your, I guess your studio and how you work?
Yeah, absolutely. So very similar. I kind of grew up just loving animation and cartoons. And for me, I had started actually freelancing in college because I just knew several local musicians and artists, and they knew I animated. And it goes back to just that idea of putting yourself out there, networking. And I kind of started doing music videos, just very small scale. And then through college, just kind of kept building. In addition to that, also working on short films and kind of doing my own stuff outside of school, to just keep trying to put my name out there and getting familiar with film festivals and that whole circuit. And that just kind of allowed me to build my network of artists and musicians and just, I guess, creatives. And then moving to Los Angeles, that network just kind of continued to grow and snowballed into doing more and more music videos, almost to the point where like the elevation had kind of started, and I realized I couldn't quite do all this work by myself. And so that is when I realized, the importance of collaboration, and kind of how cool it is when you can bring several different artists from different backgrounds. And Tony, that was something I experienced on the Indies. That was actually kind of my first time working with a team kind of that large and that international. And it was such a great experience that, just kind of seeing how the animation space was going. It was like virtual studios or kind of working remotely, I think that was it turned into a viable, I guess, route to go for working with people. And so it just kind of started then with building a production company, one to primarily be able to hire really dope, talented artists from all over who might not be getting the looks from the larger studios, but also to create and develop original IP, and so to kind of operate on both ends. And so, do a lot of research, and also it helps knowing other people in the industry and in the field you can go to for questions and knowledge, and just kind of sharing those resources.
Gotcha. Yeah, same question to you, Daniel. How did you shoot? Because I know your background story is really interesting. So why don't you break that down for people?
Well, I landed on working on animation basically by chance, because my older brother, he's also an artist. Right now, he's a comic book artist, but by then, one of his friends was looking for an assistant for a project in animation. So I basically started animation just as an assistant, coloring some simple things. Because I was not really a skilled animator, I have never even thought about doing animation. I was not really a good artist, so I actually landed by chance and started building my skill from just being an assistant. It took me about 6 weeks to get sort of good at what I was doing, but then another bigger job came in and they were needing more people, and I said, yeah, I can do it. Just throw anything at me, I can just do it. And it kept going like that. It kind of snowballed until like 2 years later I was the head of animation. And because I'm kind of obsessive like that, so when they said, well, can you help with the animation department, and I said, okay. And I read all the books they had in the studio library. I spent all of my free time just practicing and practicing and practicing. And in about 6 months, I've already basically burned through all of the exercise on the books over and over again. Made my own scenes, kept going and going and going, to the point where I just had everything just burned into my mind.
Right.
And it just kept going, and until I just became a partner in the studio, and we started landing things like works for Cartoon Network, Disney, Discovery Kids, and all of that experience, all of those extra members of the team that came with those things. Like we've also won things like the Pixelatl awards. Those are some Mexican things from festivals, things like that, that award you like people from Cartoon Network, people from Disney to work as consultants for you, things like that. And we just kept growing like that. So we started with simple things, and I just kept going and pushing myself. So as you can see, you don't need to be really good when you start, but you really need to get in there and learn. It's important to learn from what has been done before and from everyone around you.
Right. Nah, I love the fact that you said that, and I think it's such a dope thread between all of us, that it wasn't like, oh, my mom or dad worked at Disney and they were able to like get me in here. I think all of us came from a place where we saw something that we really wanted to do, and we went out and just tried really hard, and just through research and hard work, we're able to kind of carve out a path for ourselves. So the next question I want to talk about. So the title of this panel is Independent Artists Animating Your Truth. And so I kind of want to get into what you guys feel as if though like telling your truth is through your art. So Chaz, I'll go ahead and I'll start with you. What do you think like animating your truth or telling your truth through art means?
Yeah, I think animating your truth comes down to what your creative, unique voice is. And I think each artist, animator, creative has their own unique voice. It's what makes everyone different from one another. And I think it's what also can help you kind of stand out. Like if you're being your authentic, genuine self, there's only one of you. And so if you are being truthful to that, it can come through your art and your animation. And so, for me, I think, that it's an ever evolving thing where it's like it's almost like your philosophy and how it grows and develops as you do as well. And from a visual perspective, for me, I try to put things into my art that I know are truthful and genuine to myself. And so I oftentimes think of, like, I'm from Cleveland and I've lived in Chicago. So I'm from like the Midwest area. And so I like to put a lot of Midwestern sensibilities into my art and into my animation, stuff that I saw growing up, but might not see like on TV or in movies. And so I do that because I try to have that genuineness I try to bring that genuine authenticity to it, because I'm also learning that, the more kind of authentic and genuine you can make something, there are like universal themes that come out through it all. Like, even though it's genuine and unique at the end of the day, like, we all kind of experience the same emotions. Situations might be different, but I think animating your truth and being truthful can actually kind of help connect people through storytelling and through animation.
Nah, definitely. Xochitl, same question to you. What do you think animating your truth is?
It's actually pretty similar to what Chaz says. For me, it's like being very, very genuine to like who you are, and even like if culturally, if like, for example, I'm Mexican, so for me, I honestly, when I was like in school, I wasn't drawing that many like Mexican characters, and it wasn't until I attended like this Pixar seminar that like a character designer was saying like, if you come from like a different culture, show it like in your artwork. Like people get really attracted to that because it's different, or it might like speak to someone. So it's funny because once I started adding like more, and my dad is actually from a very rural area in Mexico, Oaxaca,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, yeah, I should develop like, a Oaxacan character. And so I did. I started like doing some sketches and stuff, and like people really liked the character that I was drawing. And I started getting like people like asking me through like email, oh, like, can you do some character design work? We saw this character that you designed and we really liked it. So people get really attracted to like, if you're culturally like, if your culture is different or like really interesting, they'll be really interested in you. Another thing is like I was born in 1994, so I'm like a 90s baby, and I'm really like attracted to like 90s fashion, So like my characters, I try always to like integrate that kind of fashion in them, and people like that. So I think the more genuine you are, you can attract a lot of people doing that, and as well as like life experiences, you can integrate that as well into like your characters, your storytelling. And I think the more of that you do, the more genuine your art feels, and the more like attractive people are to like the characters and stories that you're telling. So I think that's what animating your truth means.
Yeah, I think that's really dope that you say that, because I feel as though like if you like something, there are other people that like that same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So Daniel, what about you? What do you feel about like telling your truth through art?
Well, it's basically just building upon what Chaz and Xochitl just already said. It's about knowing what you are, what makes you you, and how to put it out there. So, because if you don't know yourself, how can you actually express yourself?
Sure.
Yeah.
So just as Xochitl said, she's like a big fan of 90s fashion, and she want after that she realized she wanted to put more of her culture in her art. Then you'll start building on small things like that, and you'll start finding a path that you like, that you realize is actually making you more you. It's kind of weird, because the more you express those kind of things, the more you realize how those things actually affect your art, and you start building upon them even more.
Gotcha. No, I think those are all good points, and I also feel as if though, um, like outside of just creating like new stories, because I think that's an obvious way to um, like share your truth. But for me, it's also looking at the elements like behind the scenes, um, because like when I created the indies, we did a Kickstarter, and I was just starting from scratch, and I said like, all right, like um, I want to create this team that's like super diverse, that actually understands like the vision that I want to be able to execute. And so like you can watch the indies on screen, but I think like my truth was when the credits roll and you see all the different people that have like all the different like accents marks on people's names, because everyone's from all over the globe. Like I think that's at least for me, like that's my big truth, is having more people, um, more diverse, and like people of color and women in animation. Like that's kind of my truth and what I want to get out there. And so I guess just kind of like dovetailing off of that, um, like right now, there's not a ton of diversity in television, and it almost seems as if though it's even less in animation, and that's not because there aren't like talented people out there. But I was wondering if you guys can kind of weigh in on what do you think are some of the obstacles, some of the obstacles yeah, what are some of the obstacles, and are there ways that we can, I guess, like help people to get over those obstacles? And I'll let anybody who wants to jump in first.
I'll jump in then.
Okay, go for it.
Because since I have some experience with corporate selling IPs to the big names like Disney, Cartoon Network, things like that, I actually have a pretty good idea of the obstacles.
Okay,
because I've been there. I've already been there. I've had the Disney exec tell me directly why he doesn't want it, or why he actually wants it.
Okay.
And basically, it comes to trends. If the content itself is for example in the scene, in the more or underground scenes, if it's not moving, then they don't actually see it as viable. So basically, it is once independent artists actually fill the scene with their content, then the big ones will start saying, maybe we want some of that.
Right, and I'm glad that you say that, because it's like I don't think it's like it's there, because like really it's like for us, like we're taking like what we've seen in our lives, and like we're putting that into the art. So it's almost like as independent artists, like we have like the responsibility to like put our culture out there, because I don't know, like I feel as though like what the executive said is kind of like BS. Like it's there and people want to see it.
Yeah.
Like you guys just need to put it out there.
Yeah.
So my bad. I didn't mean to get on my soapbox. but Xochitl, what do you think?
I think it's a lot of like what Daniel said. Like if it's not really trendy, I feel like a lot of people want to turn it down. Luckily, I feel like we have been seeing like a few more, stories of people of color. For example, there was like the Pixar movie Coco that came out not that long ago, and it was like, and so like people want to see more of those kind of stories now. But I think another obstacle is just like maybe your background financially where like your family comes from. For me, I grew up like in a pretty large family and money wasn't like abundant. It was like we had what we needed, but that was about it. So a lot of that obstacle is, financial and like, family circumstances as well. And luckily, I think I came to that realization pretty young and knew that like if I wanted to get into the industry and if I wanted to get into a better situation financially, I kind of had to like really focus on what I wanted and commit myself like 100% to that. And so I was like a really good student, and because of that, I got like a lot of like financial help going to school and stuff. So I think the biggest obstacles are just like also just family income and all of that. I think is like a huge like obstacle for like a lot of artists who are trying to get into the industry. But just know that if you do commit yourself like 100% and you give it your all, you'll do really good. And because of that, you'll get the help you need. I think I don't know if that answers your question, Tony.
Oh no, it's definitely not. I think that's a great point. That's a great point. What about you, Chaz? How do you feel on the subject?
Yeah, I mean, I echo everything that Daniel and Xochitl have said. I know for me, one of the obstacles that kind of ties into all of it is, let's say you have an original idea and you want to get something made or created, and you might have gone and pitched to some execs and they might have said no. That doesn't necessarily mean that you should give up on that idea. And like the animation process it's super reiterative. So like you're doing this kind of the same thing, you're building stuff up. And I think obstacles like kind of animating your truth is in line with that, in that, if you build it, people will come. Like if you kind of build your own table and build your own place, you can start to at least start to carve that path out for you. And financial is always an issue with like creating original content. And so, looking at crowdfunding or looking for investors, or, even if you know that, all right, well, I can't make this 20-minute pilot, but I can make a 20-page comic book like on my own, or I can create an animatic or a storyboard. I think kind of never giving up and just working kind of creatively through those obstacles is also something that has helped me a lot. Is just how can I creatively make this work, even though it's kind of going against the grain of what might be considered traditional. But yeah, I think obstacles there's always going to be obstacles, and if you're really passionate about your goal, I don't think that should necessarily get in your way. It might be a bump, it might cause you to have to pull off to the side for a second, but it's always best to just continue to hop back on that road and try to keep going forward.
Gotcha. No, definitely. And I think like some of the things that you guys had touched on, and I guess I just want to like emphasize those are like just making sure that like you're putting your stories out there, because I think it is the more that we see, like it's going to be, I feel as though like people are craving something different. And I feel as if though like the more different stuff that's out there, then these bigger companies will see like, oh, like this is getting a positive response. Let me like we want to invest in that. And the other thing too is that I feel as if though sometimes like you want to hit that like home run and you want like a super big major studio to pick up your idea or content, or you think like, man, like that's the only way. But I don't think it is, because like I was able to raise money through crowdfunding to get my idea out there. I know Chaz, you were able to do the same thing, and work with different brands. So I just want people out there that are tuned in to be encouraged that you can do it without this huge major studio behind you. And just one more note that I want to hit on, as far as like obstacles for like people of color, women, getting into the animation industry. I do feel like part of it is definitely on these big studios. I know a lot of studios say like, yeah, like we want to create diverse studios and have diverse stories. But I think they need to try a little bit harder. And the reason I say that is because when I did my Kickstarter and we raised the $50,000, one of my goals was to like have a studio that was diverse. And so when I got the money, like I kind of got nervous. I was just like, oh man, like if like Disney and Sony are having trouble finding like people of color to be animators, like if I'm brand new to this, like how am I going to find anyone? Like where am I going to find these people? Like why would they want to work with me? Come to find out, it's like super easy to find.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
that are animators. Like it's not like we're hiding. So if any of those big studios are watching this panel, y'all need to do better, and start hiring different people and just do what you say that you're going to do. It's not that difficult. But talking about like telling your truth, and like we mentioned, these big studios, how have you guys decided, I guess, kind of what brands that you want to work with, that allow you to like be authentically you? Because I know that there are some times where, now that I've completed my project, like people will ask me to do stuff and it just doesn't align with like what it is that I'm about or what I want to do. So I was wondering, and I'll start with you, Chaz, if you can kind of touch on like how you decide to work with the brand, and like I guess like an example of where like it really worked out and it was dope for you.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. So working in music videos, I'll just kind of stay in that lane. But for me, it's as simple as, like you said, Tony, it does the content kind of resonate with me on a personal level. If you took like the money out of, the gig, would I still gravitate towards it? And so if I do, then more often than not, that'll be what I decide to work with. Also, to just, if some projects are a bit more strict with, I guess like the visual kind of guidelines. So it's like, if this company's main colors are blue, they don't want to see like any red or like green. They want to see like only blue. And so, for me, it's all about just conversing. Like I'll always at least have that kind of initial conversation of just figuring out what the vibe is, what the overall kind of scope of the project is. And I also, for me, a big part of it is this a project or an opportunity that I can build on and can it kind of help me take a step further in my career and in my career goals. And so I kind of take all that into account just to figure out if it's a good fit or not. And also too, I think it's important just knowing like the level of difficulty the person may or may not have, like when you're working with them. I think all that's really important to just get a sense of, to see, because if a project is, 9 months, 10 months, you're going to be seeing that person a lot, or that company, that brand a lot, and interacting with them. And so just taking all that into consideration as well, if it's something that might be a shorter timeline, it can all look differently. But yeah, I think it all just kind of goes back to, is this interesting to me? Is this something that I would love to be a part of, kind of regardless of, the capacity? But just kind of take all that into consideration.
Yeah, and I think just to let everyone watching know, it's dope, the people that Chaz has worked with, as far as like Nike, Steve Harvey, John Legend. So yeah, like some really dope brands. Xochitl, what about you? Like, how do you choose brands you work with? No, you could.
Right. Sorry, it's weird. Anyway, but yes, same kind of thing as like Chaz. Actually, I'm working at Nickelodeon right now on a show called The Casa Grandes, which is like focusing on a Mexican American family, I believe, who lives in Chicago and stuff. And that was kind of by luck, but it's like great. Like I love working there, and I really align with like the storytelling that we're telling through the show and stuff. But like, for example, Nickelodeon is like super welcoming, and they are like trying their best to bring in like a lot of diversity. And our show has a lot of people from like a lot of different parts of the world. We actually have like a background artist who's from Brazil. So we're getting like a lot of people that are just telling like their own like little, 2 cents here and there. Like I'm sure the background designer who is from Brazil puts like little things here and there in his backgrounds. And just they're just like very cheery. And same thing as like Chaz is like, do I feel comfortable like with what I'm working with? Is it something that I would enjoy doing, even if like he said, getting the money out of the picture? Is it something that I would be very excited to be a part of? And yes, I'm like really excited to be a part of the Casa Grandes at Nickelodeon. And not only that, but it's just like also, will this work like help me in like my career, my future career choices? And it's something that I always have to like keep into consideration as well. Like my freelance work, a lot of it is character design work, because I eventually do want to go into like character design, because it's where I feel like I could tell like the stories that I want to tell. Like I have a little bit more freedom in like designing the characters and all that versus, designing a prop or something. With characters, it's just something that I connect more with. So it's just keeping all of those things in mind whenever I'm like deciding like who I want to work with and what I want to work with. And luckily everything has like worked out pretty well in my favor. The Nickelodeon thing was kind of like luck. Like luckily I was able to like, get into that job, but it has worked out great for me. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, I think it's really dope that like outside of just like telling like a story and like writing a story, like how you're able to tell a story like through how a character stands or like what they wear. I think that's really dope. Really dope.
Yeah, it's been really fun. Yeah.
Cool. All right, Daniel. What about you?
Well, basically, it's sort of on the same path as was Chaz and Xochitl, but also since I also have the view of the studio producer on 2 different studios, then also you can realize that sometimes you have the freedom to put some of what you have, what you want, into someone else's vision. So it's about working with what you actually enjoy and realizing that sometimes the other things that are not in line with your vision may actually be more flexible than what you think. It's just a matter of good communication. Because I worked with people that wanted something very specific, but once you get to talk with them, to getting to know better, then they maybe realize that they actually want more of you into what they want to say. So you start aligning more in those brands, those people, those products that you're producing, and they start showing more of you. Because those I was start working with them because I enjoy what they did. I like the people I was working with, and it also goes the other way. They start enjoying what I do, and they want to see more of me with them. So it goes both ways with the things I like and the people that likes what I do, and we start. It's like a communication.
Right.
So you work with what you enjoy, but you also realize that going out of your comfort zone may also get you something interesting. Either with finding something else that you like and you enjoy, something about you that you didn't know yourself before because you never tried it. You never wanted to see how it was because it was just so alien to you. And you might actually end up liking it, enjoying it, and finding out some really cool people on the way.
Gotcha. Nah, those are all good points. All good points. So we're getting close to the end of our panel. And I want to remind for everyone that's watching live, if you have questions, you can go ahead, you can drop them in the Facebook chat. I don't think we have any right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask a question, which might be a little bit selfish. So I know we're all quarantining right now with COVID-19 going on, and so I personally have been watching a lot of movies and television shows. So I was wondering if the three of you would be able to give me either a show or a movie where you think the creators have done like a really good job of like telling their truth and why. And I'm gonna go ahead. I'll start. If you guys haven't seen it, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is like a super dope example of being able to tell your truth. Just from the way like what Miles like wears, the music they put in it, you can tell that that you had some like really diverse people working on it to actually get that character right. So yeah, so if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and go see it. So I'll let Daniel, if you got any suggestions for people out there.
I would suggest Klaus. Don't know if anyone has seen it, because it actually aligns very well with this, because the production team was actually quite diverse from all over the world, and they were actually telling a specific story that was not from their own culture, because it's the story. I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's interesting because it shows in the final product all those visions, how they melded into something else, and it shows in the final product. I just love it.
Nice. What about you, Xochitl?
Really hard question because I love watching movies and I watch like a lot of shows too, so it's kind of hard to like hone in on one. I think if I had to choose one that I really like the way they tell the stories, I haven't seen all of it yet, but Rick and Morty. is one that I've been watching a lot lately. I don't know. I love what adult animation is doing. That they're telling these stories of like I said, like your family. Every family looks different, right? And not all families are like perfect. How a lot of like animated shows like to put out there. Like in Rick and Morty, the family has a lot of like issues, right? They're not exactly they don't all like work together very well. And I really like how we focus on that, like because I feel like so many animated shows specifically don't. And it's showing like kind of like a broken, not broken family, but one that doesn't work well together. I think it's just interesting how like Rick is like the protagonist and like people love him, but he's so mean. And like it's like also like why do we like him? Like is there something that we like identify with this person? Like it just starts at you just start asking yourself a lot of questions as to like why do I like this character when he's like such a mean person, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Rick and Morty has been something that's just been like kind of like I'm always asking myself questions because I feel like it goes really deep into like family dynamics, which I find like super interesting. So.
Nice. Good answer. All right. What about you, Chaz? What suggestions do you have?
Oh man, there's like social. There's several. Gosh, I'll stay on the animation. I was gonna say a live action show, but I'll stick with animation.
You can go both.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll do. All right. So the one I wanted to say it's live action is Michaela Coel's "I May Destroy You," which is a new show on HBO. And she is best known for creating and starring in the show called Chewing Gum that came out a few years ago. But what I love about I May Destroy You is it's a comedy drama series in a way that's kind of juxtaposes comedy and drama in like such a unique way. And to give you a little bit of background on her, the creator of the show, she essentially wrote something like 200 drafts of the script. She turned down like a huge deal from Netflix to go create it at HBO because they promised her more creative freedom. And I just really love that it's a Black woman getting a chance to do something different and innovate in the TV space. And like, yeah, I mean, I won't spoil it for you, but it's a pretty incredible show. I think the more dark you can go into it, like watching it, the better. You'll just be really surprised at it. It's a lot like Rick and Morty, where I've not in context and content, but how like you just never know what you're getting into, like at the start of each episode. And the pacing is great too. The other show I was gonna say is Craig of the Creek on Cartoon Network. Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. I love the family, just the representation there. It's just been so great to. I know a few of the like writers and board artists on that show, and they have a really diverse crew, and they put a lot of like specifically like Black culture into it. Like they'll sneak like they'll draw the characters posing as like different GIFs and memes and stuff. And so it's really cool to just kind of see like the culture represented in animation. Yeah, it's really great, especially through a family. I feel like it's rare that we've seen kind of an original Black family in animation in a while.
Gotcha. Man, nah, those are all like great answers. Hopefully the people tuned in, if you haven't checked any of those out, you can check them out. But I think we're getting to the end of the panel. And I just want to thank you guys for coming together. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in like forever, since the indies. So yeah, it was dope being able to catch up with you guys. So I have one last question, and I didn't give you a heads up on what this question was. So we're gonna start with Chaz, since he was my co-director. But if you could jump in the time machine, and you can go back 5 years to 2015, when you could actually go outside. What advice would you give to yourself, whether it be animation or life advice in general? What would you like to tell yourself?
Yeah, man, the before 4 times. Okay, I would tell myself, don't be afraid of the process and of risks versus like the reward. I won't necessarily say be okay with failure, because no, but like continue to kind of strive for greatness and not, and be okay with getting, like, I guess, obsessed with projects and your art and your wanting to get better, and really just like not being scared about what like other people might think, or what, the mysteries that lie ahead in the future. I would say to just, take it one day at a time, and just try to focus on getting better each day, and just work on building.
Nice. All right, Social, your turn to jump in the time machine.
So I think the one thing I would tell myself is not to take things for granted, for sure. Just because like back in 2015, I still wasn't like in a studio. I was stressing out over like getting into the animation industry when like, I could have been enjoying that time because, COVID's here now and like we can't go out, And one thing that I've been missing a lot, like, is like going to the theater. Like I love the theater experience and like just watching movies. And so I would definitely say like enjoy every day, right? It's really hard to when we have like, a lot of like negative stuff happening in the world, and all these things. But I think we also have to be very grateful of like what we do have and what we can do. Um, yeah, so I would just say like enjoy your day, you'll this too shall pass kind of thing. Even if you're having like a bad day, it'll pass, and there's brighter days ahead.
Nice. Nice. I like it. All right, Daniel, what about you?
I would say to just go for anything you want, basically. Even if you don't know how to get there, just take the first step. You can learn anything on the way. Just it's easier when you just are in the road than you just sitting there thinking about it and stressing about it. Just start moving and figure things out on the way.
There you go. I like it. Yeah, no, I think that's all really, really good advice. And so that was going to be the last question, but looks like the good folks from LeftField Online says that there is a Facebook question from Mark. So he says, I have a question as an artist. How do you deal with the anxiety of showing your work, and how do you deal with critique? That is a good question. Do you guys anyone want to volunteer to jump on first?
I'll do it.
Oh.
Social, if you want, you can go ahead.
You go ahead, go. I'll answer after you.
Okay. Well, it's going to be hard, always going to be hard at the beginning, especially if you're not a very people's person, you're not out there doing things. If you're more of the general animator style person that basically you just in your place doing your own thing, it's going to be hard at the beginning, but you just keep doing it. Start with people people who your opinion you respect, because those are the ones that actually going to put you in the right path first. Because if you just start listening to just any random person, there's always going to be a troll or someone who's just not a nice person.
Yeah.
And whose actual critique or comments may actually just hurt your art, or may actually make you less prone to actually just go out there and get your art with where people actually can see it. So start slow, and don't really take everything to everyone tells you about your art personally. It's in the end, it's your art they're talking about. Even if it represents you, it's something you can build upon or just decide to ignore. It's not going to affect you directly. It's not permanent. You can always just move on.
Nice. You want to go next, Xochitl?
Sure. So I actually am like Daniel said, I think a lot of artists are really shy and they have like a lot of anxiety when it comes to like showing their work, right? So like when I was in high school, I would really like to draw, but I didn't show my drawings to anyone. I showed them to like how Daniel said, you have to start small, especially if you have like a lot of anxiety around it. I would show like I started off by like showing my sketchbooks to like my friends who also drew, and like yeah, I would get critiqued sometimes, and I'd get hurt, like really hurt initially. But then I had to start understanding that a lot of times, if it's someone that does care about you, they're critiquing your stuff because they want to see you get better. And so for me, it just kind of started off that way. It started off very small, and then slowly and slowly, as I started gaining more confidence in like my artwork, I started kind of putting it out there. I think the first like social like media outlet that I used was Instagram to like show my artwork and all that. And for the most part, most people will give you like really really good like either feedback or they'll give you praise, which is good, and it helps build like your confidence and all that. So I think just starting off really small, um, getting that critique from like people that you care about and know are going to be honest, getting that critique, and then using it to like better yourself and better your art, and then in turn you gain more confidence with your artwork and start showing it to like more broader places like Instagram or a website, or just where there's more of a reach and more people are looking at it. And dealing with that critique and knowing that if you do get critique, like Daniel said, there will be trolls sometimes, but sometimes you just kind of have to like know that these people are just, there's some really mean people in the world and all they want to do is just like, troll and stuff. But then for the most part, I feel like most people will try to like, if there is feedback, it's because they want to see you get better. And there's like a lot of places actually like on Facebook too, where there's groups where it's like artists who are trying to better themselves. So you can like join one of those groups and know that you're gonna get like a lot of people who are in the same boat as you. So it's a very welcoming like kind of environment where everyone's trying to help each other out. So yeah.
Nice. You want to go next, Chaz?
Nice. Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Daniel and Xochitl said, it gets easier the more times you, I guess, open yourself and your work up to critique. It also, I think, can help you get better more quickly if you kind of have another couple set of eyes looking at stuff. And like they said, start small. Like you can have, if you have other artist friends and y'all are tight and you just want to critique each other's work, before taking it more publicly, that's also fine. And, I think the cool thing about critique though, is it starts out being a little awkward and uncomfortable, but the more you get used to it, at least for me, I found this actually kind of started to crave critique in certain parts of my art. And it's like, I'll finish a piece and I'll say, man, I really want to like an opinion on this because I'm not quite, something's off about it, or I might feel like it just could use another couple set of eyes. And so that's a situation where, I think it's good to have a group of friends or some people you can collaborate with or people you can feel comfortable with sharing your artwork. I always think of it as, sometimes 4 eyes are better than 2. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to kind of take, some critiques with grains of salt. At the end of the day, you're the artist. It's your piece and it's your voice, and you can choose kind of what to do with the comments. But just know, if you have that environment of knowing people are there to encourage you and want to see you get better, then critique can actually be a really helpful tool in developing as an artist.
Nice. And I guess just to kind of close it out, I personally don't show people my stick figures for any critique. But when I did write my first script, I was super nervous about sharing it with everyone. And my first script was like the indies. So I had to share it with the three people that you see on the screen. But I was petrified to share that. But what kind of allowed me to do that was looking at it and saying, like, you know what, like, regardless of whether the script is like good or not, like, I really like it, and like I'm happy with it, and so it's what people will say about it. Like, if I'm able to take what they have, like, I'll only like that art even more. And so I think like the key is like doing the art. Like, if you're doing the art for yourself and you like it, you're only going to wind up getting better from what the people what people are telling you. So I feel you 100% on feeling that anxiety and being scared. But I do think that you'll be a better artist for it. So yeah, good luck on everything that you do, Mark, and appreciate you sharing that, sharing your question. But yeah, I think we have come to the end of our panel. Sad, but but happy that I was able to chill out with y'all for an hour. It was good to see y'all again. So we'll just go like around the way, starting with Daniel, and just if you want to tell people how they can follow you and like what you have coming up next, go ahead and shout it out.
Well, as you can see in my little name here, you can follow me on Instagram. I mostly just post my sketches, my daily practice over there. And coming up with, sadly, because of the kind of clients I usually work, I can't really say what's coming up because of the NDAs. But just follow the Instagram and I'll start posting those things there.
Very nice, very nice. What about you, Xochitl?
So unfortunately, I didn't put like my Instagram handle like at the bottom, but you can find me at Chox in a Box. That's CHOXINABOX. And I just post a lot of like my personal artwork there. That's like stuff that I just do for fun. It's like not for a studio and it's not for freelance. It's just fun work that I just post up there. I can't. Same thing as Daniel. I can't really say like what I'm working on because a lot of it is like NBA stuff, but it's a lot of character design stuff that I'm doing for like some independent clients, and then also just doing all the work on the Casa Grandes at Nickelodeon. And if you've been watching Nickelodeon, you've seen the show. You've probably seen some of the stuff that the team has like come up with. A lot of really cool artwork. We're just gonna keep putting out more episodes, so just watch Nickelodeon. Watch
Very nice, very nice. All right, what about you, Chaz?
You can follow me on Instagram at Chaz Draws. There, you can follow the projects that I'm working on freelance and through my production company. But also what's coming is I'm working on a original hip hop musical dance short film titled Batu. It's about two Black teenagers competing for a spot in a dance troupe. It has all original songs, and I'm really excited about that. We're working to finish it up now. We're in the midst of production, but it's been just a great kind of passion project to get lost in for the last couple of years.
Very nice, very nice. And yeah, to kind of close things out, you guys can follow me at DJ Tony Drake. We worked on the Indies and Animated short. I guess now it's like 2 years ago, 2 years ago now. But working on the follow-up to that. So hopefully we'll be releasing that soon. Also have a music video called Pressure that I co-directed with an artist named Luke James Schaefer. So right now that's out in different film festivals. So you can check that out online there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And once again, want to thank Daniel, Xochitl, Chaz, for hanging out with me for an hour, talking about being an independent artist and animating your truth. And last but not least, thank you to LeftField Online, Awesome Con, and Rose City Comic Con for putting this on and allowing us to have this conversation. And thank you guys for tuning in and sending in questions. Definitely appreciate it. But yeah, you guys stay safe out there, and we'll see you guys soon.